Yeah, I mean, I've been saying since April that the strategic clarity Iran has obtained from understanding that its true WOD is the strait, its geography, as it always has been, over the capacity for nuclear weapons. I still and I understand with my background, war is policy by other means, as Clausewitz would say, but even if we do get some kind of deal, the fact that Trump ditched the MOU, can we not agree, even in the short to medium term, that those objectives keep changing and the lack of clarity that the Trump administration have is giving greater confidence to the IRGC, to the Iranians, to draw this out longer, undermine America's strategic interests, not just in the Middle East, but vis-a-vis its popularity to China, to the Russians, to ability to exert influence and persuade other countries of their commitment. I mean, look at the Mecca agreement that was signed between the Saudis, Pakistanis, and Turkish. Is that not as big an indication that they have lost confidence in the United States as the overarching security guarantor of the Middle East?
Well, I'm not sure that I'd conclude that at all. I think it is an initiative to ensure that you have not all your eggs in one basket, but there haven't been all eggs in one basket for quite some time. They've long had a relationship with Pakistan that much predates this. The addition, again, of Turkey, and again, supposedly this is some kind of actual alliance that has an Article 5 attack on one is an attack on all. Well, where have they been as Saudi ships have been hit by the Houthis in the Red Sea? I don't see any kind of response. So I think time will tell how significant that particular agreement is. But no, clearly, look, the U.S. is challenged in the Central Command area, which again, I was privileged to command between Iraq and Afghanistan. In that, for example, basing strategies, all of our logistical locations are just not as viable as they were before. And I've said for months or years now, actually, that we should have long ago undertaken the kind of urgent institutional changes in our military services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, now Space Force, even Cyber Command and Special Operations Command. We should have long since shown what we should have learned from Ukraine by making wholesale changes to our force structure. First, the entire concept of war, then our force structure, then how we train, how we educate our leaders, what we buy and how we buy it, personnel policies, all the rest. These are the elements of institutional change, which we did, by the way, in 2006. As the situation in Iraq got more and more dire, I was between the 3- and 4-star tours and privileged to drive that for the Army with the Chief of Staff of the Army's full support. And it started with a field manual on counterinsurgency. That's the new big idea. We then changed some of our force structure, training, leader development, what we buy and so forth. But that was modest, very, very modest by comparison with what we need to do now, which is in many respects to replace manned systems, at least those that aren't stealthy, in considerable numbers, by no means all of them, and manned, so aircraft, tanks can't survive in Ukraine anymore. They might, I'm not sure what their utility would be out in the Middle East in various contingencies as well. So again, we should have long ago anticipated what it is that Iran sent our way, and we should have been better prepared for that. The Central Command commander, frankly, should have had far better resources available to him in terms of counter-drone warfare, cheaper ballistic missile defense. You know, we've used perhaps half of our missile interceptors in this particular conflict. Of course, we've provided a number of them to Ukraine prior to this as well. Those are $2 to $3 million a copy, and it takes years to make those, not months. We've used a very substantial proportion of our most exquisite submarine and ship-launched and air-launched cruise missiles. So again, we need to learn from the Ukrainians, who are using 10,000 cheap attritable drones per day, and the exchange that they're getting for those is absolutely massive. Our exchange, when we shoot an expensive missile interceptor to take down a $50,000 Iranian drone, is obviously not one that is sustainable. And again, we knew that Iran gave the Shahed drone model to Russia, who has improved it, even now have jet engine versions. So again, I think
Wow.
this is something for which we should have been better prepared had we undertaken the institutional changes that we still need urgently to take. And these actually would be revolutionary, not evolutionary.
Interesting. No, I remember us talking a bit about that in our conversation at the beginning
Yes.
of the year.